Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope, open my eyes to see the world through different eyes, revealing your light, restoring hope.
Good Monday. It's Restoring Hope today with Joe Mites from St. Gregory's and, of course, Army Brad. And that is our brand new theme. That is the first time it has ever been heard on the airwaves. And Father Tattoo is completing the final edits. And if you think you recognize that voice, that is Matt Baird from the band Spoken, one of my favorite guys in the whole world. He's been on the show many times. And he sang that. He wrote that, sang it, recorded it with Ryan Buck, and I think that's good. Yeah, I think it's humble, it's raw, it's not grandiose, and as you and I both know, anytime anybody gets too grandiose when they're talking about recovery, what do they call that? The pink mist or the red mist, when they just get so fired up about it that they miss the mark?
That's in the rooms.
In the rooms?
That's in the room stuff.
I don't know what that means.
Well, my line of recovery, we really don't put all the branding and all of the terminology.
You're talking about in the 12-step rooms.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you have a phrase for us. We're the folks in the rooms.
Well, I personally may have a phrase for you.
I see. Okay. All right, so we're back on this Monday on webcastonelive.com. And before we get into recovery, we are going to talk about a real tough subject today, and that's abandonment and betrayal. And the reason that it's a little harder today is because Valentine's Day is coming up. And we make such a big deal out of Valentine's Day that if you're not necessarily with somebody or in a relationship at the time, then it can be a tough day. So we're going to talk about that. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the Pope and him resigning today. And I'm not a Catholic, although I'm a great lover of the Catholics. I was raised Episcopalian, so that's kind of, we used to call it Catholic light. But this is the first time in over 600 years that a pope has resigned from the popehood. Popehood? Papacy. And he gave good reasons. He says that he's not as mentally and physically sharp as he used to be, and he feels the job takes somebody that's completely on top of it. Any thoughts from the panel in the room? I'm curious if Father Tattoo has any thoughts on this. You don't care? Okay, he's waving me off. He's waving me off like, go to Hardee's. So you work with a lot of Catholics.
Yeah.
What's the buzz around there?
It's a really big deal for them. And I think, just with the Christian community as a whole, it really does have pretty heavy implications on this. If you remember when the last conclave to elect or whatever, this one, when that was all going on, the big talk was, is he going to be more of a conservative theological stalwart, or is this one going to be someone who really helps to bring together all sides of the argument? Now everything is, we can't be just Christians. Now everybody thinks that the Christian faith really needs to be inclusive of other faiths, which is incredible to me.
Yeah.
But that's really starting to bubble up again, is what type of pope will this next one be? Will this be that old school theologian that really does command that moral, old school Christian ethic and the old traditions? Or will this be someone who the first time ever really comes along and starts really lightening up on some of the talking points? And there's a lot of tension out there. It could really go either way.
What type of pope was Benedict? How will he be remembered? As the theologian?
Yeah, from my understanding, especially at the outset, when he was going through that vetting process, he was really looked upon as one of those conservative stalwarts that was going to have a lot of controvery and there was some Muslim outcry over a few of his statements. He put his foot down, and I don't understand why that is. He's the leader of a religion, and when he puts his foot down and says, "No, this is the religion," all the other religions get upset. Well, what do they think he's going to do?
Right.
And that's kind of the worry with a lot of folks, from my understanding, is there's that danger of getting someone in there that really may start trying to lighten that dialogue and not be so staunch on the is what it is of the theology. And that's, to me, that's a little scary, because whether or not I agree with, all of the differences theologically between a Catholic viewpoint and a Protestant viewpoint, we still have to admit that Catholicism that commands a lot of people, and the direction of Christianity politically even very much hinges on what happens from the papacy. So I think it does concern everyone as to what type of pope will come in. But there's a lot of unknowns at this point. So especially being so sudden. Not even his inner circle knew about this, from what I understand.
As far as the next pope, though, what people need to remember is that it is selected by the top cardinals. So you have the hierarchy selecting, as opposed to a more democratic, even where they go down. The priests don't even have a say in it. So you're going to have staunch Catholics picking the leader of the Catholic Church, which makes it unlikely that they're going to swing too far from what they've had for the last 2,000 years.
You would hope.
I remember the watch when Pope Paul was passing away. I don't remember so much the drama that was involved with electing Pope Benedict. Was there?
Oh, yeah. The St. Peter's was just filled, and they were waiting for the smoke. But it wasn't one of those where it took, vote after vote after vote for them to come up with the next pope. I think they kind of went in there saying, we got it narrowed down pretty solid. So, and if I would think that if Pope Benedict was doing this, that there would have been some of the hierarchy would have known that a move in this direction was happening.
A successor would maybe be recommended.
Somebody was in the wings and being prepared for him to step down. I would hope and assume, but we'll know here in a couple of weeks.
The thing that makes me wonder is, Pope Benedict, before being pope, was in charge of, and I'm not going to say it right, but it was the council that was in charge of the sex abuse scandal within the Catholic Church. And it was it was Cardinal Benedict that Pope John Paul said everything goes through him. I'm tired of this going through archbishops and these type of people. Everything comes from the person who's making the complaint directly to Pope Benedict.
To Cardinal Ratzinger at the time.
I'm sorry. Right. Thank you, Cardinal Ratzinger. So I'm wondering if that has anything to do with it. Is this thing going to come to a head and as the Pope, he can't be talking about it that way? From the press releases that everybody's putting out from the Vatican at this point, and all of the communications that have come out so far, it sounds like no. It sounds like once he steps down, that's pretty much it. However, I think the big question is that a lot of people are really sort of beginning to stir about, is this really because of an emotional and physical or mental and physical decline, or is it because there's so much of that going on still that he just doesn't feel as though he's handling it well? There's a lot of those questions out there. How relevant they are, I don't really know. The guy's 85 years old, I guess, isn't he?
Yep, 85.
So, but yeah, I mean, that's why it's such a stunning thing, really. I mean, apparently anyway. I mean, I'm a Lutheran, and I believe pretty strongly in Lutheran theology. So for me, my camp doesn't really care that much. That was a big part of the Reformation in the first place. Is we look a little bit too far up the chain as far as the apostolic succession. But there's an awful lot of very serious Catholics out there that this has serious ramifications for.
I kind of see it like different ranks in the military. That I'm part of the Army group, but the Navy guys just lost their, what would it be called?
Their commander-in-chief.
Their commander-in-chief. And I do. My heart yearns a little bit. I remember when Pope Paul died, I was emotional about that. And I found it surprising that I was emotional about that. but I was. And so I think it's the Holy Spirit that connects us all to one God and one Savior, whether you're Lutheran, Methodist, Episcopalian, Catholic or whatever.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I certainly think
because
so.
I was really moved by that. We had just moved into our new house, and I remember the hours and hours that we just waited for the news that he had passed away.
Mac, you talking about Paul or John Paul? The last one before Ratzinger, or before?
Yeah.
Okay,
Aren't I?
John Paul.
Oh, what am I saying, Paul?
Yeah, I was going to say I would have been
Well,
a
it just
child.
proves I'm not a Catholic.
I think
John Paul.
I think that makes sense, though. I mean,
And the fact that they left George and Ringo out of it just really makes me mad.
to this day.
Anyway, sorry.
well, as Christians, it's a lucky person, or it's not a lucky person, but it's a relatively, in this day and age, devout Christian that is really involved in and closely connected with his church community. But for a lot of people, they're just kind of out in the wings, and they see the world as they're in the world, and it can feel a little bit disparaging sometimes. And like I had mentioned to you, I know you're going to the National Religious Broadcasters Convention. It's an awesome event, and I was there last year, and it was so comforting to know that you're in this big conference. And I go to a lot of conferences, mostly they're marketing conferences or sales conferences, and there's just a lot of people. But this was the first time I've been to a great big conference. There was lots of people there that were all there because they were Christians, centrally. And it was a really neat experience. And I think it's the same thing as it ties to this, because you watch the TV and you see those hundreds of thousands of people in the Vatican really weighing on everything that Pope says. When the Pope came to the United States, you see so many people rallying around behind the Pope, whether they were Catholic or not. And to me, I think it's an exciting thing to see that, just because it lets me know there's an awful lot of people that are fighting out there for righteousness and fighting for the same truth that I'm really looking at. And that's a comforting thought. So, there's not a whole lot about my theology or faith that has much to do with the Pope, but it is, exactly as you say, it is an entire brotherhood out there of people that are really fighting for the same God and for the same truth that we are. So I certainly understand the connection there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what they do. There's a part of me that would like them to bring a Jack Kennedy in, someone of the last, or not the last, but the next generation. I'd like to see a 50-year-old pope, someone who could really install a generation of change in the Catholic Church. Because in America, on our soil, I don't know if the Catholic Church has ever been so challenged as with Obamacare.
Right.
Because it goes directly against what they say, and the Catholic Church
that's what a lot of people are worrying about, is that change. How far will the papacy be willing to change, and will it be too far? Because I think that there's always that risk. It's going to take someone with some theological fortitude that really is going to be able to make sure that the faith stays the faith. It can be relevant in different areas better, but the faith does have to stay the faith, or else it's not the same faith anymore. And I think that they're really worried about the implications of some of what that change might mean. So.
And on top of that, you need something like that has the resources like the Catholic Church to stand up for what is right, because you're going up against the federal government, and hey, Hobby Lobby, is doing the right thing, but they can't pay $1 million worth of fines a day for very long, well, more than a couple days, and then they're done.
Yeah. And that's a really big point. I mean, the Catholic Church, believe in the structure of it or not, they are of one body and really do yield a singular voice, as opposed to Protestant America, where we've got, Lutheran Church of Hope is a great big church and does really big and good things, but not enough it's not going to rally all of the Protestant denominations behind it like the Catholic Church does. So.
Well, it'll be interesting to see as things go on, and I hope it's without controversy and drama. I just hope it is what it is. All right, when we come back on Restoring Hope, Valentine's Day around the corner. Feeling alone, depressed, abandoned, betrayed? Well, don't feel alone. But it is a trigger that starts some people down the wrong road, opposite of recovery. We'll talk about that today live with Joe Mites from St. Gregory's on WebcastOneLive.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
If you choose to obey the power of sin, it leads to death. If you choose to obey obedience, it leads to righteousness.
Forgiveness is just the beginning of life in Christ. God wants us to live for Him now.
And because of Jesus Christ, the gospel was preached, and you and I are blessed today because of Abraham. Did you know that? We're blessed.
Experience Truth, 99.3 FM.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Fight the good fight on a Rebels Cause Radio, Thursday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on a rebelscause.com. A Rebels Cause Radio is edutainment.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
The only way we come to know the Saviorship of Jesus Christ is by bowing and acknowledging that He is Lord and King over all the earth.
Jesus Christ died on a cross, paid the penalty for our sin, and by repenting of our sin and accepting Him by faith, what He did for us, we are forgiven.
Salvation is not a combination of faith and works. Salvation is by faith alone in God.
Experience Truth, 99.3 FM.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
We've got questions. You've got the answer. Join the conversation. It's your voice we want to hear. So call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
321, we are on Restoring Hope this afternoon, and you heard a little bit of our brand new theme song at the beginning of the show, and Dan just got that off, and we're working on it. Maybe you'll hear a little bit more of it before the end of the show. Army Brad in the studio today, along with Joe Mines from St. Gregory's. And, you know, we talk a lot about St. Gregory's, where we mention St. Gregory's a lot, but we don't talk a lot about it. Before we get into the feelings of abandonment and betrayal and how rough Valentine's Day can be on some people, especially those in recovery, just tell us a little bit about St. Gregory's.
Well, that's not very easy. Once I start talking about it, I can usually go for quite a while.
Well, I'll shut you off when the time's
up. That's a real door for me. Well, I mean, the easiest way to explain St. Gregory's is it's a very unique approach to residential substance abuse treatment, in that we're really not here to just be in a session of psychotherapy. It's not a place to come and focus on how bad life is and to cry about your addiction or all of those things. What we've really put together is a complete process of, first of all, repairing the damage physically. Then once you're well enough to start confronting the mental and emotional issues, it's a real structured out plan as far as what do we need to do to work you through the stages of change that you need to go through to really take a different look about what your life looks like. So it's very much an experiential approach to how to reevaluate your life and challenge some of the lies that you believe about who you are and really start moving on past this notion of addiction.
Yeah, and even though it doesn't shove religion or Christianity down your throat. And I'm saying that purposely because some programs do that. You end up having a spiritual relationship with your greater power, which hopefully most of us call Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing, realistically, where our faith really plays into our program first and foremost, and most importantly as far as we're concerned, is before we really will venture down, there's a lot of new ideas about addictions treatment. There's a lot of new ideas about what addiction is. Before we start jumping down rabbit holes, we really put that up on the wall and compare those ideas as far as what does our faith say about these things. And if something's not in line with that, then faith wins. So we're really not going to go down the notion that this is who you were created to be. It's just who you are. We certainly don't believe that it's something that you can't move past. And, there's so many approaches anymore that really start to look at, well, how can we just reduce the harm that is attributed to addiction? And essentially they're keeping people stuck, and it's a very short-sighted view, whereas we're really looking at the problem not so much as far as, well, how do we get you sober, but how do we help you really understand who you were created to be?
Yeah.
And in doing that, sobriety becomes a very short-sighted goal.
Yeah.
We're really looking much farther past that point, and it just so happens that if you reach who you were created to be, then you're going to be sober too. And that's really how we approach everything.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why you're so successful.
It is.
Because if you have a short goal, then when you reach that, you have nowhere, you're not going forward from it. So it's easy to slip back to where you were before.
Absolutely. And, inherently, it's very easy for people to give addiction more power than it necessarily has to have. And power of perception is king. What you believe to be true, you're going to abide by. And if you believe that something about yourself is there to stay and it's this immovable object, you're just going to have to battle it every day and every minute, then chances are it's really going to be tough because you're going to live as though you're battling this every day and every minute. If we really take a look at this as far as, look, this is just what's keeping you from being where you're supposed to be. Let's put it in perspective. Now all of a sudden we can really start thinking about some really exciting things for people's lives, and that's it's a very structured process, and it's really important that people understand it's the process that makes our program work. It's the process that in and of itself individualizes it for each person.
It truly is the journey.
It's the journey,
not the destination.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting that. Well, and if and let's remember, you guys are also a part of Harbor View, which deals directly with prescription medicines. It's not just an alcohol thing. It's not just a heroin or meth or habits, hurts, and hangups. And with Harbor View, and that's located in West Des Moines, that's a company that will work directly with your insurance company and with your doctor to help you make sure that the medications you're taking are right for you. And the doctors love it. It kind of sounds in the beginning that the doctors would not like it because it looks like somebody's checking up on them, but they love it because now they have an accountability partner.
Yeah.
So whatever it might be. And by the way, 10% of the population, and that includes any congregation on any given Sunday. Don't think we Christians are not as
that word.
Yeah, not as likely to be an alcoholic or a drug addict or to take a disadvantage of prescription medicine. It's 10% of the population across the board. It may be a little higher with some age groups. It may be a little higher or lower with some ethnic groups. But for the most part, if you put 10 people in the pew on Sunday, one of you fights with addiction. Maybe it's pornography. Maybe it's gambling. Maybe it's adultery. It doesn't matter. 1 out of 10 people suffer from some type of addiction that they cannot control without A, the proper training, and B, knowing who you were created to be. Because when you discover who you were created to be and you get in that tuning fork with God, you know what I'm talking about? Remember in school we used to have tuning forks and you'd pop them and they'd vibrate and there would be that very perfect vibration of sound that would be music to our ears? It's that type of unification that you achieve with your Creator, and you become exactly what He wanted you to be. And that's an amazing thing. All right, Joe Mites from St. Gregory's, Father Tattoo in the house along with Army Brad. Valentine's Day around the corner. You know, my wife took me out to lunch yesterday, and when the ticket came, she grabbed the ticket and she said, "Happy Valentine's Day." And later on, I asked her what she wanted for Valentine's Day, and, you know, I don't know what I'll get her. You know, she's really not a dozen roses type of girl, you know. She's probably more a simple card and a whisper in her ear type of girl. But there are those of us who have relationships, and there are those of us who lack them, or unfortunately are in a dysfunctional or a demised relationship, an estranged relationship. And Valentine's Day usually doesn't just float by those kind of people, those people in those situations, without getting poked a little bit, without getting, you know, hammered a little bit, without getting pinched a little bit. If you work anywhere, it's hard because friends and coworkers around you are getting flowers and cards and cupids and wearing red and eating chocolates, and restaurants will be jam-packed on Thursday. But for those people that don't have that special person in their life right now, or that special person isn't recognizing them, this can be a real dangerous time for those people suspect to some type of alcohol, drugs, or other hurts, habits, and hang-ups.
Yeah, it can be really difficult. And, you know, this is a primary issue that a lot of people will start really taking a look at, that they discover throughout the process of treatment when they are in, a treatment program. And by that, I'm not talking about just the issue of rejection, but what rejection really is. And there's a lot of ways to look at it, but one of the foremost ways that really has an impact on how you behave is to start recognizing your own accountability in this notion of rejection. And what people really find, a lot of times they've put way too much weight on someone else's actions or behaviors that you then allow to be responsible for your own happiness. And it's something a lot of times when someone's struggling with an addiction, it's so easy to really start gradually taking all of the onus on you for your own life. And you start finding things out in your universe to start piling that on top of. And that's where the terms, and the conditions of codependencies come from, and all kinds of things. We're taking things off of our own shoulders and we're putting them on other people's. And a lot of times we see that where somebody is so fully divested in themselves because they have to count on everyone else and everything else in their life to provide them fulfillment and to provide them that acceptance, where they really forget about their own accountability in that relationship, in a partnership. And that's the key word with any type of relationship, friendship or something more meaningful, is it is a partnership. I heard a sermon on this when I was visiting a recovery center years ago, actually. And it was one of the best ways to really tackle this. And since this is a Christian format, I'm assuming it's appropriate here. But the pastor had mentioned, when you're really coming up on not vacations, but holidays like Valentine's Day and those things, try taking a look at it from a Christian perspective. And if there isn't somebody just in your immediate circle, if there isn't somebody that you immediately have this relationship with, or you're really struggling with the notion of bad feelings throughout this time, start taking a look at what does it look like with my partnership with my God and with my church. And you had mentioned, your wife picked up the check for you. Now you're kind of in a position, oh, gee whiz, what am I going to get for her? Because we've got to be kind of even, and, it's a give and take type of thing. Well, it's the same thing with your Christianity and your faith as well. Start taking a look at, if you're feeling like you're just alone and by yourself, you have to know that there's millions of people out there that are waiting for someone to help them. And believe me, that is what I call a give and take relationship. Start looking at what types of things can I do service-wise in my church? Where can I really be of service to someone else that's really struggling as well? And I promise you that's going to come back tenfold in that fulfillment aspect in your own bucket. So there's a lot of ways to really look at this, but I think the most appropriate thing for this show is to really be cautious of how far you're willing to let this notion of rejection drag you down, because it really is a dangerous time. That is when there's a lot of substance abuse, a lot of alcoholism. That's when those things kick in. When somebody's struggling with the foothold of a newfound sobriety, that's a difficult thing to deal with. That's a lot of times these are one of the first big hurdles and big humps that someone just out of a recovery program or just looking into what does it look like for me to have some sobriety and happiness, they hit a speed bump like this, and it can really throw you for a loop.
Yeah.
So really the difficult thing is always to kind of take a step back if you're able and look at this thing from the 10,000-foot view and say, where am I useful? Where am I valuable for other people? And there's a whole lot more places that people can be of value than they had ever realized.
Yeah, and I like your comment about finding out what plan your Creator had for you. Mm-hmm. And He gave you an individual plan as well as perhaps a partnership plan or a parenting plan or a best friend plan. He gave you something to stand on your own. And if you haven't found that, you are looking for an opportunity to, go back on the wagon or off the wagon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, and you really hit it right on the head. He did give us all a partnership plan. Now, He may have given us extra ones where, we find a spouse or a really close group of friends. But He pretty much gave everybody that specific partnership plan with Him. And that's the most important relationship that we can really find. And I think there's a lot of people that would attest to the idea that if you don't have that one right, external relationships with other human beings who are all going to live forever and have to figure out their own salvation in the meantime, if we don't have the one right with God first, those others are going to be a lot more difficult.
Army Brad, along with Joe Mites from St. Gregory's, Father Tattoo in the house today. We're talking about those hurts, habits, and hang-ups of relationships and how to best deal with them. Phone lines are open if you want to participate. 1-855-244-0077. Love to hear from you this afternoon live on Restoring Hope on WebcastOneLive.com.
Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershot.
I'm administrative manager.
I'm the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, it's got to be, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
If you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? You can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going, though. I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
Enough said.
ones in the pew, not pulpit. Come on now, let's reason together. The phone lines are open, so call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
22 before the top, Salem Radio Network News here on 99.3 KTIA, followed by Pastor Michael Mudloff. Tonight is Strong Tower Finances with Justin Bennett, and also the Miracle Show with Patty and Dave. That's right. Thank you. Here on WebcastOneLive.com. And remember, when you go to WebcastOneLive.com, there's always a program airing. So if you miss this show, this will air at another time, or you can go in and search for this specific show, the 11th of February, and you can bring that show up and watch it. So Chris DeBolt does our website and does just an amazing job with it. It's just an excellent website. We don't monetize our website, which means I don't fill it with a lot of ads. There are no ads on it. Okay, I want you to be able to come to the website, cleanly and easily find the information that you want and have it in the palm of your hand. I hate pop-ups. I hate all that stuff that distracts you. I understand that's where the commercial world is going right now. At some point, maybe we'll be required to do that to meet our monetization goals. But for right now, WebcastOneLive.com is an easy website that allows you to find our programming, which is up to, I think, 51 hours a week now.
Wow.
We have 3 hours to fill, and then we are basically filled from 8 to 6, Monday through Friday.
Jeez.
Yeah, we're getting some good programs.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, good programs. And thanks to St. Gregory's as being one of our sponsors. And always remember this, and you heard this from my mouth. Joe Mintz is not on this program because St. Gregory's is a sponsor. Joe was on the show long before that. Tom Coates is not on the Wednesday show because he sponsors. Brian Leach, these are quality men who I have personal relationships with that I think add to these programs. They find that there's a value in sponsoring them, and that's why they're there. So just so you know, that's the way this works. I've had other people come to me and say, gee, I'd be glad to sponsor your show if I could come in every week and be a part of it, and they don't have anything to offer. There's no passion. They want to be on the radio, and we don't do that. So anyway, Army Brad in the house along with Joe Mintz from St. Gregory's and Father Tattoo from, well, he's just from him, I guess. Does anybody claim you? Nobody really claims you. Your wife claims you. She loves you. And you're going to be a daddy again soon. Do you have a projected date of birth?
Sometime in December or September.
September?
Yeah, like around the 15th.
Have to carry that baby.
My mom used to claim me, but of course she's dead now.
There's got to be a tattoo parlor somewhere with your name on it.
Yeah, I would think so.
There's probably some people that are pretty grateful that I'm existing, but I don't know that they claim me.
Yeah, I'll claim you on Texas. Dependent. When we think about addictions, we really get narrowly minded. We think about pot or alcohol or a needle in your arm or a pill in your throat. We don't think about hurts and hang-ups. We don't think about the pain that comes from estrangement in relationships. We don't think about the loneliness and abandonment that we feel and the resentments that we carry that live rent-free between our ears because of failed or defunct relationships. But during a week like this week, Valentine's week, it seems to become a little more prevalent. I'm lucky. I'm married to an amazing woman. We've been together almost 25 years. Joe, you've been married to your sweetheart for 11 years. Is that right?
Oh, doggone it. Coming up on 9.
It's a good thing she's not listening.
You should know that. And you've been married how long?
11 years.
11 years. Now, Brad, you're a single guy.
Not officially, not yet.
Right, but
I was going to say you're going around the loop. Luckily, we ended here, so I'm not the example that people want to be following. So
well, but so how is Valentine's Day going to be for you? Is it going to have an impact on you, or are you just going to skate by?
probably skate by. The only thing that will be truly positive is that I will have my daughter that day. So
Okay,
it
the
might
little
be
redhead.
Yep, it might be something with that. Then.
She's 5.
She's 4, and she's told me numerous times she's staying 4. She's not getting any older, and
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
She wants to stay 4. I don't think
The
it'll happen.
problem
but
with that theory, though, is you're going to get older, and at some point, you're not going to be fine with her being 4.
I am now, and we both know, and we all know, except for her, that she doesn't have any say in it. When she's 5, she's 5. And
Oh no, I'd let her claim to be 4.
when she,
We have a whole generation of people that are claiming not to grow up, and
well,
they haven't.
I don't think they're claiming. I think they're just living that way.
Yeah,
so.
well, that's what I'm saying. They're not.
I think you're absolutely right there.
For a couple weeks, she denied that she was 4, and then all of a sudden she was like, "Okay, I am."
See, my kids, I have my youngest son's birthday is today.
Happy birthday.
And he has
Great day for a birthday.
It is. And he is just ecstatic that it's his birthday. And I know it's your birthday too, Army Brad, so.
Hey.
Nobody
Yes.
nobody said that
Thanks,
over the air.
thanks to Facebook.
How old are you today?
Younger than you.
That's not fair.
Ouch! Burn.
Not fair.
Well, if that's an answer, somebody asked me how old
47?
I am.
Well, that's good. I appreciate that.
48?
I was until
49?
today. Yep,
49. Wow. One more
49
year
and
then you're
holding.
officially old.
I'm not holding. I'm slipping fast. So.
Just a side note, I just thought this was interesting. We're starting up Restoring Hope, so it's like starting a new business. So, tax information, corporation information. So somebody at the bank ran something on me, and it came up that my birth date was 1949 rather than 1959. And I thought I was born in 59. And he went back and no, Social Security number. No, he was born in 49. So I called my mother to make sure. No, she was quite sure when it was. But thought that was interesting how an agency could get something, so wrong. Made me 10 years older.
You got to be careful out there. I saw on the news last night, they're saying that, 40 million Americans have mistakes on their credit reports and can't get it changed. So, even if you do catch it, you can't always get it changed. Sometimes you just have to buy into the idea that, looks like you're just older.
And Mac, if the system is saying it, it doesn't matter what your mom says or the doctor.
Well, then I want my senior citizens discount at Carlos O'Kelly's, and I want it now.
Because that is how they'll get it fixed. If the government has to pay you more money, they'll go in there and figure out, oh, yeah, we made a mistake.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So the pain of feeling abandoned or estranged, we've all felt it at one time or another. We've all had a significant relationship that has gone by the wayside. Maybe it was in 7th grade. Maybe it was in 12th grade, maybe it was a defunct marriage. But Valentine's Day always runs a little bit harder. What are some things, let's think of some things that people could do on Valentine's Day that would celebrate themselves as what their creator had meant them to be.
Well, I mean, the first thing I really do mean, the best thing that I know of is really start taking a look at what are some service opportunities to be involved in, because that's how he shows us who we really are, is when we're others-centered and when we're really getting outside of ourselves. And that's why it's so surprising. I know at St. Gregory's especially, a lot of our program is based on community service. And that's just because... and it's that same pain that you're going to feel with all kinds of different things when you struggle with an addiction. And the reason why it's so difficult is because addiction is essentially being in a state of having things being reflected at you that make you think that it's about you or that it really is who you are. And those are usually just not true. So rejection is a really difficult one because it's somebody virtually almost pointing at you and saying, nope, no good. Well, that's not true, and it's really important to really understand some ways to combat that. And the best one that I'm aware of is to really get outside yourself and start giving. And that's when you really get that reflection back of your true value and what you really have to offer that's usually surprising.
Joe Mines is in from St. Gregory. It's Restoring Hope, live here on Monday on WebcastOneLive.com.
drink, dance, party. Kitty's is the ultimate dance club in Des Moines. A huge dance floor with room to move, 3 bars to keep your drinks full, and kickin' DJs playing all your favorite dance music. At Kitty's, we've always got your birthday party planned with Birthday Fridays. That's right, when your birthday rolls around, there's only one place to go. Gather up your friends and head to Kitty's, where you drink free on the Friday of your birthday week. Find out more about Birthday Fridays at kittiesusa.com. Kitty's, all kinds of people, all kinds of music, all kinds of fun.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
We've got questions. You've got the answer. Join the conversation. It's your voice we want to hear. So call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
It's 10 before the top, and here on the Truth Radio Network at 99.3, Salem Radio Network News at 4 o'clock, and then after that, it's Michael Mudloff from Westkirk Presbyterian Church and True Blue. Great program. He's such a good guy. I want to remind you of just some of the things we've got going on this week. Tomorrow, I'm with Ed Fallon from 12:30 to 1 because Ed wants to argue with me. I don't know why. It never ends up good.
Sounds like fireworks.
I like Ed, but he wants to talk about some politics. And then on The View from a Pew, Reverend Sam Webb. I've introduced you to Sam once before. Really enjoyed him. He's a really good guy. Wednesday, Tom Coates is gone, but I'm going to have Matt Whitaker in here. If you don't know Matt's name, he's the former state attorney general for the Southern District of the United States. He was the one that tried the CTEC case. He's also been a name batted around as a possible candidate for Senator Harkin's run, and if not, perhaps a Republican run if Terry Branstad should decide not to run in another 2 years. Then on Thursday, for Valentine's Day, we're going to be studying John 11. Brian Leach, who's our regular co-host on Thursday, was driving down the road listening to his Bible on tape today and was listening to John chapter 11, and something hit him, and he's hot and on fire, and he wants to talk about that. And then on Wednesday or Friday, you should come in Friday. It's your buddy, Eric Volker.
Is it?
Yeah, Eric Volker is coming in on Friday. He is the men's ministry director for the Lutheran Church of Hope, and we're going to talk about some things that men need to be able to do. Now, you're gone for 2 weeks after that, right?
I'm gone for 2 weeks
Man, we're going to miss you. I got no Joe written down on Monday. Maybe we'll just put the flags at half-mast and go home. No,
I get that.
You're going to be, what, Mexico?
Mexico. That's right.
With you and your bride?
Yep.
All right. Valentine's Day is a wonderful day when you're dating someone steadily. I would imagine there's a lot of diamond rings given out on Valentine's Day.
I'm sure of that.
I am. If you're in the restaurant business, it's a wonderful day because a lot of people come out and have a little dinner with their honey. If you're in the lingerie business, especially if your customers are young, well, let's just put it this way. Most customers of lingerie shops are younger, and so they do a wonderful business this time of year. But the other places that unfortunately do a good business is some of the rehab and recovery centers because it starts people down the wrong road. Now, At St. Gregory's, you've got a men's facility and you've got a women's facility. They're not connected. They're miles and miles apart.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do anything different or special to compensate for the fact that these men and women are away from their families, their loved ones, perhaps their spouses or significant others?
Well, not necessarily. And, especially for one like Valentine's Day. It's just such a commercialized thing anyway. And it's really tough to assign too much meaning to it. Realistically, I think we can all be honest that Valentine's Day is pretty much mostly there for selling stuff for most people. And it's really important for us that, regardless of the day, regardless of, what you're actually going through, as opposed to the heavyweights like Christmas and Easter, but stuff like Valentine's Day, we really try to keep things as even-keeled as possible. It's always about, what are we doing service-wise? What are we doing outside of ourselves? That's really always our focus. And I think that's kind of a lost art. And it was strange. We, as a admission staff, we all went out for graduation last week.
Okay.
And it's just so incredible to go out there and hear these guys talk at the end of their journey in the residential portion of our program, when they're really talking about the service work. In fact, there was one gentleman, I was so impressed and I was so excited because they are out in their communities a lot. And, they form relationships with parishioners of local churches. And there was one gentleman graduating, and there was an older couple from the local church that came to his graduation. And to us, that's such a big deal. That's the
just
whole
because he
point.
had done service work there?
He had done service work there, and these guys, they're coming from all over the country, and they're interacting with this little community in Iowa. And those are different types of interactions than you'll find in the steaming metropolis of Des Moines or L.A. or something like that. Those are pretty down-home conversations, and that service work, that's needed service. They're really out there helping people and involved in real people's lives. It's not a circumstance where they're just in therapy all day. We want to help really teach people what does it look like to be outside yourself in real life. And that's the biggest thing that they get out of the program by far. But it was such an amazing thing to see this couple that, they kind of paused their life to come to a graduation from a guy who lives halfway across the country because they had really invested themselves in his life and vice versa. And that's really what we're striving for, is people realize just how much value they hold when they start giving of themselves. Value doesn't do anything if it's all inwardly directed. You have to spend your value. And when you do that, that's really when you're purchasing the most important things in life. And that's a real relationship, and that's real confirmation of just what it is that you have to offer. And I can tell you, there's a lot of people out there that have no idea just how much that they can really give out there. There's so many people whose lives can totally change by some relatively benign things. It's just those communications a lot of times. But he had impacted them, they had impacted him, and I'm telling you, it was an amazing thing to see. And that's really the spirit of everything. So, if you're really struggling, start looking outside. Start really looking, where can I really give of my value? Where can I spend what I have? Not just financially, but you've got those gifts. They're 4 things. Understand what those are, and the best place to start getting in touch with those is your local church.
What are the 4 things?
What 4 things?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said there were 4 things.
No, those are the important things.
Yes, I understand. Yeah. Okay. I thought, wow, you're going to give me a list. All right, well, Army Brad, thanks for being here today. We'll see you tomorrow with Reverend Sam Webb and more talk on the Pope resigning, as this has an impact on people of all denominations, especially the Christian denomination and the Catholic Church. As you said, Lutherans, Reformation, we kind of split from them, but they're still our kissing cousins. So, Father Tattoo, thanks for being here. Joe Mines from St. Gregory's. We will see you at another time. Remember, this Thursday, it's the Truth Project. Focus on the Family brings you the Truth Project at Incredible Pizza. 11:45 to 12:45 is the DVD. That's the presentation. And then after 12:45, we'll sit around and have a conversation. If you've never been through the Truth Project or been to at least one of those sessions, please come. It's free. If you want to eat, it's the price of the buffet. But come and see what Focus on the Family has to say about the Truth Project, because I think you'll find it, those 2 words, life-changing. Don't think so? Come give it a shot. I'll see you there. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and if I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Right here on webcastonelive.com. Remember, just do one thing for me tonight. Just one. Just for a moment. Put your hands together and pray.